Hello and welcome to AMG Time And Attendance system video tutorial. In this video I'm going to introduce you to rounding rules. In AMG Time And Attendance system you have a possibility to round in-out punches, outside time duration, also lunch and break durations. Each shift group can have its own rounding rules. For configuring rounding rules of any shift group, you need to open the shift groups window. Then, by clicking on the buttons near roundings combo boxes, open any of in-out, outside, lunch and break rounding windows, where you can add, edit and delete rounding rules. Let's start from in-out rounding, which is intended for rounding employees' first in and last out punches. To add new in-out rounding, you should do the following. Click on the Add button. In the window, enter code and name of the rounding in the code and name text boxes. Uncheck Active checkbox if you want to make the rule inactive, otherwise leave it checked. After that, enter values into the fields of Start in punches and Stop out punches boxes. Start in punches. Round forward to the scheduled start time. In the round field, enter the time in minutes, starting from which the clock in time should be rounded forward to the scheduled start time. For example, if the scheduled start time is 8 o'clock and the round time is 15 minutes, it means that if the employee clocks in the period from 7:45 to 8 o'clock, then the clock in time will be rounded forward to 8 o'clock. Grace back to the scheduled start time. In the grace field, enter the time in minutes, until which the clock in time should be rounded back to the scheduled start time. For example, if the scheduled start time is 8 o'clock, and grace time is 10 minutes, it means that if the employee clocks in the period from 8 to 8 past 10, then the clock in time will be rounded back to 8 o'clock. Duck forward past the scheduled start time. In the duck field, enter the time to which the clock in time will be rounded if the employee clocks in after grace time. For example, if the scheduled start time is 8 o'clock, grace time is 10 minutes and duck time is 20 minutes, it means that if the employee clocks in after 8 past 10 to 8 past 20, then the clock in time will be rounded forward to 8 past 20. Stop out punches. Now let's see how to configure out punch. Let's again start from the rounding field. Round forward to the scheduled start time. In the round field, enter the time in minutes, until which clock out time should be rounded back to the scheduled stop time. For example, if the scheduled stop time is 5 o'clock, and the round time is 20 minutes, it means that if the employee clocks out in the period from 5 o'clock to 5 past 20, then the clock out time will be rounded back to 5 o'clock. Grace forward to the scheduled stop time. In the grace field, enter the time in minutes, starting from which clock out time should be rounded forward to the scheduled stop time. For example, if the scheduled stop time is 5 o'clock and grace time is 10 minutes, it means that if the employee clocks out in the period from 10 minutes to 5 o'clock, then the clock out time will be rounded forward to 5 o'clock. Duck. In the duck field, enter the time to which the clock out time will be rounded if the employee clocks out before grace time. For example, if the scheduled stop time is 5 o'clock, grace time is 10 minutes, and duck time is 20 minutes, it means that if the employee clocks out before 10 minutes to 5, starting from 20 minutes to 5, then the clock out time will be rounded back to 20 minutes to 5. After configuring in-out rounding rule, click OK to save changes, then close the window. Outside rounding. Now let's configure outside rounding, which is intended for rounding in and out punches committed during the day. To add new outside rounding rule, you should click on the Add button. Here enter code and name of the rounding in the code and name text boxes. If necessary, make it inactive by unchecking Active checkbox and then configure the following fields. Round outside punches the above rounding parameters to every x minutes with a y minute split. Enter the time to which the time of being outside should be rounded after split value. In the split field, enter the amount of minutes before which the time should be rounded back, or after which the time should be rounded forward to the extent mentioned in the previous field. Let's bring an example of outside punches rounding use. First, add values in these fields. Suppose the split value is 7 and the rounding parameter is 15. Then press OK. Now let's go to the time card, where we will see how the outside rounding for out punches is applied. Suppose an employee goes out during his work time at 8 minutes past 9. The system compares these 8 minutes with the split time, which is in our case 7 minutes. As far as the out punch time is more than the split value, 8 minutes past 9 is being rounded to quarter past 9. And the result will be 1 hour 15 minutes regular worked time instead of 1 hour 8 minutes. But if it is less than split time, for example, he goes out at 6 minutes past 9, then it will be rounded back to 9 o'clock, and as a result, we'll have 1 hour as a regular work time. This was outside rounding for out punches. By the same principle, outside rounding for in punches is applied by rounding the time of employees in punches. Lunch rounding. Now let's configure lunch rounding, which is intended for rounding lunch duration in case it lasted shorter or longer than intended. To add a new lunch rounding rule, you should click on the Add button. Enter the code and name of the rounding. If necessary, make it inactive by unchecking Active checkbox, and then configure the following fields. Round short duration forward to total duration. Check this option if you want the actual duration of lunch, if shorter than the maximum duration, to be rounded forward to its maximum duration. For example, if maximum duration is 1 hour, but actually it lasted 40 minutes, then if this option is checked, 40 minutes will be rounded up to 1 hour. Grace out punches back to the scheduled stop time. In this field, enter the time in minutes until which the actual lunch stop time should be rounded back to the scheduled lunch stop time. For example, if the scheduled lunch duration is 1 hour, grace time is 10 minutes, and the employee clocks out for lunch at 1 o'clock, it means that if the employee clocks in back from the lunch from 2 o'clock to 10 minutes to 2 o'clock, then the lunch stop time will be rounded back to 2 o'clock. Round the total duration every X minutes. In this field, enter how many minutes lunch duration should be rounded if the employee is late from the lunch, with the X minute split. In the split field, enter the amount of minutes before which the time should be rounded back, or after which the time should be rounded forward to the extent mentioned in the previous field. After finishing configuring, press OK to save the rounding rule. The process of configuring break rounding rules is the same as for the lunch rounding. Now, when you have added all the roundings that you need, select the ones that must be used in your shift group and press OK. One more thing about roundings is that there are two types, simple and advanced. All I have just presented was about simple rounding rules, but you can also configure advanced rounding rules if you are an enterprise edition user. More about advanced rounding rules configuration you can find in AMG Attendance System video tutorial Advanced Roundings.